What's going on, you guys? Today I have a special guest on Living Fit. His name is James Patrick. He is a serial entrepreneur when it comes to photography and media and helping you find your own image. He is an internationally published photographer, best-selling author, and podcast host. So we have a very long, very informative interview. Get your notebooks out. Take lots of notes if you are interested in branding or social media or any of those things. You guys, he has years and years and years of experience, tons and tons of great information for all of us. I'll be going back and writing notes too. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share with all your friends if you like it. Let's go. Record. What's up, everyone? It is Pam here with Living Fit, and I have a wonderful guest on today. I'm going to move right into it. No fluff. This is James Patrick. Hello, James.
Hey Pam, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. So I want to introduce you really quickly who James is and why I wanted him on my podcast for all of you to learn from. James, of course, first of all, let's talk about James is a father of a 16-month-old beautiful baby boy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I don't, yeah, what else is there to say about that other than like he consumes everything that I do at this point?
Yeah, of
So,
course. And I always want to bring that up to everybody because I think sometimes when we have kids, it's like, whoa, we can't do anything. So let me just rattle off some of the things that James is as well as a father. He's an entrepreneur. He has multiple businesses, so you guys can look him up. I'm going to link him in here. He helps people with branding. So that is one of the things we're going to talk about today. James is an international published photographer. That's what caught my eye on Instagram is kind of how we connected. He's a best-selling author and a podcast host himself.
few
That's a big
things.
list.
Yeah, few things.
Just a few things. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see his like little fancy studio. So we said, this is my little makeshift studio here in my office. You guys can start anytime, anywhere. But this is my fancy light that I wanted to spice it up. So he noticed that.
Well, it's interesting because like the aesthetic differences between the left and right side of this screen right here that I'm looking at, like your the high key, the bright, colorful, and here I am, and I look like I'm in like a bat cave. It's so dark and moody in my
Maybe you
office
are.
right now.
Are you in a bat cave? We'll never
It
know.
feels like it right now.
Well, I like to try to bring some brightness here because we're I'm in Michigan, so it's very cold. It's like 20 degrees and it's gray.
Mm.
It's January and it's really sad around here.
Oh,
So
see, I'm in Arizona, so it's bright, it's sunny. I think we're like mid 60s right now. This is perfect outdoor weather. I have no excuse for being in an office this dark and this noir. I should
just
be outside in the bright sun right now.
just rub it in.
Hmm.
60s, amazing. Yeah. So that just gives me a reason to need to come down and shoot with you.
Yes, yes, we'll have to do some shooting and probably shoot like I like shooting while hiking
Oh,
or
yeah.
or hiking while shooting. I don't know which is better, but like go out to a nice really like scenic mountain range, get a good exercise in and take some awesome photos. Arizona is great because like there are very few places where you get this much diversity in scenery. Like here, people think the desert, yes, Phoenix is a desert, but I
Mhm.
drive 2 hours north. I'm in Flagstaff, which is a completely different ecosystem, or 2 hours east, and I'm in Pine Top or Lakeside, which is this gorgeous foresty area that gets like loaded with snow during the winter. So I can see whatever I want to see within just a few hours.
That's so awesome. I know I shared, of course, my your profile with my husband because we like to travel and do all those things. And when I tagged you the other day on my story, he's like, "Is that the guy in Arizona?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Another reason for us to go there because
Mhm.
we want to go." And Michigan just played there um, in whatever football game
Would
they
we
were
say they
playing.
played? They got
Hey,
they got
I'm
they got
not.
embarrassed there.
I'm not the football fan. That's all my husband. However, yeah, you guys could discuss that, but it was a reason to come to Arizona. So,
Mhm. I've had
we're
I've
gonna.
had several clients who came out to Arizona to shoot with me, loved
Mhm.
it so much that they ended up buying a place here. That
Yeah,
that
I
is
can
legit. It's
imagine.
happened at least half a dozen times.
That's so crazy. So yeah, we can move right into that. So your photography business is there. You have a studio, which is also on Instagram. So any photographers or any aspiring photographers can definitely follow that page. It's called Hive Studio,
Mhm.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
and it's a really cool page. I don't do I mean, I like to be in photos and I like to help people with photos, but I'm not a photographer, but there's really cool easy tips on there, and you also hold classes.
Yeah, yeah, we do monthly workshops. My business partner and I, we really wanted the studios to be a collective, a gathering of different creative professionals, which is why we ended up calling it the Hive,
Mhm.
which is, a group of people who come together, we work together. So our studio has been used for everything from photo shoots to ad campaigns, commercial shoots. We've even had a handful of music videos shoot here. We've had a lot of
Wow.
events host here. So it's interesting to see, like, because I only work in the studio maybe one day a week, and the rest of the time, it's being rented out by different creatives. But it's so fascinating to see the different creative projects that end up being done here.
Yeah, that's super cool. So that's just one of your businesses
Hmm.
that kind of stemmed from you and your photography. Before we get into that, I did want to talk about with my audience too a little bit on you kind of have your own little health story. I watched a couple of your interviews. I like to I like to kind of study my guests a little bit. Quick Google search brings up a lot. Um, and you are a fitness photographer.
Hmm.
Anybody that looks at your stuff can see that. But you kind of had to reel yourself in and get healthy yourself. So you want to talk about that just for a second on kind of what happened and how you were pursuing some things and then your health was like, whoa, you had to bring it back together.
Yeah, and it was actually before I was really into fitness photography. At the time I was working in marketing. I still had my photo business, but
Okay.
I hadn't gotten it to the level that it's at now. So I was working a full-time career in marketing right out of college, and I was trying to grow my photography business on the side. So I had this side hustle and I'm working a full-time career, and I'm doing this. I got to be honest. I kind of fell into this hustle culture of, in order to succeed at this career, I have to say yes to everything. I have to go so far into this idea of always being available, always on the go, always networking. So like every evening I'm at a different networking mixer. And if I'm not at that, I'm whining and dying a potential client. And then on any free time, quote unquote free time, I'm trying to grow my side hustle business, my photography business. So
Hmm.
I am just like destroying my time with nothing but work. Now to be clear, I am wildly addicted to my work, and there are people who listen to that, they're like, well, is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. I'm still wildly addicted to my work. I love my work. I am lit up by the work that I do, but I was not creating any care for myself in this process.
Yeah.
And so going from, I was an athlete growing up, and then in college, even though I didn't play any sports in college, I was still very active. I mean, I went to school. We had a very big campus. Just the idea of walking from one end of the campus to the other, which I had to do half a dozen times or a dozen times throughout the day, I'm always on the go. Translate to sitting in an office
Oh
for
yeah.
10 hours a day, and then going out to networking mixers, eating on the go, drinking all the time, because once again, we're wining and dining our clients. We're always out at some social function. And then add on this stress of trying to build a career while having a career. So I reached this point where I'm not sleeping well. I'm always stressed out. I always feel tired. Like I
Yeah.
can never wake up. And so I go to the doctor, and my doctor basically says, I don't know how to make this more clear to you. You're just running yourself into an early grave.
Mm.
You've allowed yourself to become overweight. Your blood pressure is getting dangerous. Your blood sugar is getting dangerous. Just even a year ago,
Yeah.
these none of these were an issue for you. This
How
happened in
old were you
such
at this time? How old were you at this
mid
point?
20s.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Young.
mid to late 20s. Yeah. So
Mhm.
this is just a few years out of college.
Mhm.
Um, Way too young to be having any of these issues
Sure. But it's
that were all,
common. It happens. Yeah.
oh, yeah. Yeah. But it
Yeah.
was all self created. Like
Mhm.
I did it all to myself.
Mhm.
And it was because this is why. It was because when you look at the gamut of life, and I look at the gamut of life having four main things. There's your physical body, there's your mind, there's the relationships you have, and then there's your professional development. When
Sure.
you look at those four things, I would sacrifice three of them for one. So, yes, I'll work out once I get my professional career to where I want it to be.
Yeah.
I will eat well. Once I have the time, once I'm successful enough, then I'll have all the time in the world to do all
Yeah.
that other stuff.
Sure.
I'll meditate, I'll journal, I'll do all that shit. Once I have the time after I become, an international
Successful.
success,
Right.
I'll make time for relationships. I'm not going to date right now. I'm not going to invest in friends right now. I'm
Yeah.
working on my career. I'm working on my business. And what I learned is, okay, great. So I'm building this business or this successful career in my job at marketing, which I was very good at my job, but I'm not going to live long enough to ever see the results of all the work I'm doing. I'm going to be stressed out the whole time, so I'll never enjoy it. And I'm going to be alone because I've never invested in relationships. And what a backwards approach to life. And what
Sure.
I realized through this whole thing is that this idea of, call it success, call it fulfillment, call it happiness. It doesn't matter what you call it. But we have this idea that it is based upon conditions. I
Mm.
will be successful if fill in the blank. I will consider myself fulfilled when fill in the blank. I will be happy when fill in the blank. And whatever the fill in the blank is, if we ever achieve it, we're going to do one of two things. One, we're not going to feel what we thought we were going to feel. And two, we're just going to move the finish line even further.
Yeah.
And on and on and on it goes. And what I realized is that happiness, success, fulfillment were not conditional, it was
Mm.
a choice. I choose success, I choose fulfillment, I choose happiness
Yeah.
regardless of my external circumstances.
Yeah.
So I am successful on years that I make $500,000. I am successful on years that I lose money.
Mhm.
I'm successful on days that I have a project and I knock it out of the park. I am successful on days where nothing goes right. It is a choice.
Yeah.
And what I realized as I'm kind of being told by my doctor, like, you have to change things, is that I have a choice to continue on this current trajectory, which is he's already telling me where it's going to end up.
Not
Or I
looking
can,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
not looking good. Or I can choose to shift the prioritization, focus on my own health first, focus on my mind second, focus on relationships third, and then focus on my business fourth. And by flipping that paradigm,
Mhm.
the counterintuitive result was that my business actually thrived. I got
Yeah.
better at my work. I got more efficient, more effective. I produce better because I'm building things off a great foundation.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I'm trying to build everything on this weak, shaky foundation. I share this story. You might have heard this, but I was on a trail run and I come up to this summit on this trail run. I'm looking into the valley that I'm about to go into, and there's this really big, really impressive looking saguaro cactus. And I see it from the top of the summit, and I start to run down into the valley. I come across it, but now that I'm right next to it, I can see the whole cactus. Whereas before, I just saw the upper two thirds, and the bottom third was shrouded with shrubbery and rocks and all that. And now that I see the bottom third, the bottom of the cactus is rotted out. It's broken down to just the skeletal bones of the cactus. And maybe that cactus has a year or another summer or two summers left in it before those bones crack. That cactus is going to tip over and it will die.
Yeah.
That was what I was doing before. Yes, I'm building this great business on a body that's not healthy enough to sustain it. Yes, I'm building this great business on a mind that's too stressed out to ever appreciate it. Yes, I'm building this great business, but I'm building it entirely alone. I have no one to celebrate any success or any outcomes with. So
Yeah.
when we flip this, when we prioritize our health, when we nourish our minds, when we invest and foster great relationships, we will show up better in the other areas of our lives to be more effective, to be more efficient, to improve the output that we have.
Yeah.
And it sounds backwards. It sounds counterintuitive until you start to do it. And then you find a systemization or approach or methodology that works for you. And it's going to be different for everyone
Sure.
in how they do this. But that was an interesting path. And when I say path, it's not like this happened over the course of a few months or a year. This was kind of a wave of experiences over 10 years
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hit me in different ways and forced me to look at things with slightly different viewpoints and shift my approaches in different manners.
Hmm.
But the lessons were all the same. We prioritize our health, we prioritize our mind, we prioritize relationships, and we'll have more than enough to give to our professional or personal development.
Yeah, and that's a great story, and that actually kind of even talks about what you do now. So
Mhm,
you have the successful photography business,
mhm,
um, and you help people build their brand and kind of support them and coach them in this manner. I would imagine is you kind of help them prioritize, which I think we have it so backwards. Like you said, I think we get in our minds and we're like you said, I'm going to do this once I do this. I'm going to do this once I do
mhm,
that. I hear that all the time as a health coach. I also have the privilege of directing a cardiac rehab. It's a holistic heart disease reversal center, and we have those
mm,
four pillars of health. What you just talked about is we teach them stress management and group. We have a group support to find your community, and really, and of course the diet and the exercise. Of course, everybody thinks that, but nobody thinks about that whole community part of it. And you're right, because at the end of the day, your whole message there from your doctor and what you developed was you don't have your health, you have nothing at all.
mhm.
Like, what's all this success if you don't have that? So you help people brand themselves, but I imagine that you try to help instill some of these principles in with
I
that.
mean, it's all baked into an ethos, right?
Mhm.
Everyone you work with, it doesn't matter whether it's a health coach or a business strategist like myself, everyone
Mhm.
has a certain methodology in how they approach everything.
Yeah.
And it's what really determines who uh, resonates with you as a consumer.
Mhm.
There, when it comes to, let's just say, personal training, we'll use that as an example. There is not, when you look from side of the spectrum to the other side of the spectrum, there's not a tremendous amount of variance in regards to the services that can be provided under the realm of personal training
Right.
or in the outcomes that can be provided. So, if the outcomes or the results are pretty similar trainer to trainer, we're helping you get in better shape, we're helping you lose weight, we're helping you increase vitality, we're helping you improve your energy, we're helping you improve your mood. All these things are pretty synonymous deliverables. And if they're all similar in the deliverable, what then are we using to differentiate? Well, we're using the person selling it. We're using the person actually delivering it. Well, what is different about Pam and her energy and her viewpoints and her ideologies that make me want to work with her over 10,000 other people?
Sure.
And it's carving out a unique platform for yourself that only you can stand on.
Mhm.
And if what we're doing, which I see a lot of people do, is try to shave off all the unique and interesting edges to who we are and what represents us because we're nervous that, well, what if people don't get it?
Yeah.
Or what if it offends people?
Yeah. Yeah.
All we're doing is we're shaving off the things that people actually notice about us. And I would much rather be noticed and disliked than not noticed at all, because
Yeah.
that's what happens to most people is we don't get seen at all, and it's harder now to be seen than ever before.
I was going to say, especially now, with social media, it's crazy, to stand out like that. And I do agree with what you say. Like I always say, I would rather be respected than liked. Kind of, I would rather be noticed than liked. And like you said, and you kind of help people pull that out of them in your business. Yeah, and so. So that's one side of what you do. So that's one service that you offer,
Mhm,
amongst a lot of other things. You are a internationally published photographer.
mhm.
I have dealt with a handful of photographers. I wouldn't say a whole bunch, but a handful. Um, but you have so much success and so many covers and magazines and all of these relationships. And I have, people I know that are aspiring photographers or whatnot. You've been here for a long time. You've been in this fitness space, so you're a fitness photographer. How long have you been doing photography in fitness first?
So, I started photography when I was 19,
Mhm.
but I was a photojournalist,
Okay.
and it was more a I was more required to do it while I was in college. I started working at a newspaper, and the publisher of that newspaper wanted me to be a photographer more than he wanted me to be a writer. Maybe he saw something in my photography work, or maybe he really hated my writing. Unclear. But I was repositioned to be a staff photographer instead of a staff writer. A few weeks later, I was promoted to be the photo editor of the newspaper, having no experience as a photo editor. And for listeners that
Wow.
don't know, this is not someone who edits photos like what you think. I don't In newspapers, you're not really allowed to edit photos. It means I ran the photography department.
Okay.
I had to oversee all the photographers. I had to assign photographers to shoot specific projects. And then also, I was the one who determined which photos went into the newspaper and where they would go.
Well, that's where you
So
started.
Yes, correct. That was
Mhm.
actually my first, like, photo job. Like, I
Okay.
was a staff photographer, I think, for 3 weeks before I got
Mhm.
promoted. Um, so for a lot of my time, I was still shooting for the newspaper, but most of my work was actually overseeing the other photographers and
Okay.
helping them shoot projects, helping them select the right images, and really determining the visual identity of that newspaper.
Mhm.
And I had experience as an editor before, but on the journalistic side. I was a section editor of a newspaper before. I had done that. So I knew how
Mhm.
to run a team of people, and I knew how to assign things. I knew how to work with assets that were being turned in, but I'm just working with creative assets. So I had to learn real quickly which images work and what images do not, and how to visually tell stories
Mm.
even if I'm not the one taking the photos, because I have to choose which images are going in these layouts.
Yeah.
I then got a job as a photo editor at a startup magazine and did the same thing. I was a photo editor over there. And it really helped me as I was trying to launch my own photography business and get my photography business up and running, which I did in college and then did on the side hustle as I was working a career in marketing after college. But having to work on the other side of it as the person who hired photographers, as the person who curated images, as the person who determined an editorial visual identity for a brand, for a company, for a publication, multiple publications, gave me an insight
Yeah.
on what works and what doesn't.
So
And
that helped you to what you're doing today.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And so you just said like the storytelling because everything now is so social media
Mhm,
blitz like 15 seconds, you got to tell the story. And I watch your reels and you have your captions and you get right to the point and and so all those things kind of led you to that was years ago.
mhm,
So I kind of wanted to bring up a little bit of how you got started to where you are today to let people know that it takes a long time.
mhm.
It can take a long time to build yourself into an industry.
Yeah, okay, so I think it's a couple different things. Number
Mhm,
one, I think there's this overwhelming belief that we can be reactive in our marketing and sales efforts, and it is not going to work. It barely worked 20 years ago when I started. It
mhm,
does not work in the least bit right now. When I say reactive, here's what I mean, you see a lot of people curating content on social media. So you yourself start to do the same. You start to emulate what others doing on social media, and you notice you're not getting the engagement. So what do? You blame the algorithm. You're not growing your
mhm.
followers. So what do? You think you're being suppressed. Yeah, you
Yeah,
will always come up with some reason why people are not finding your content. But the truth of the matter is, maybe your content is not worth finding.
sure.
And even if it is worth finding, the reason you're not getting engagement is maybe it's not engage worthy. Maybe it's not interesting enough for us to pay attention to. It is so difficult to garner attention because we as consumers are pulled in so many different directions. And I feel a mistake we make as content creators is we do not shop our own content.
Mm,
If we shopped our own content, what I mean by that is if we shopped our own content, if we created content, how we would want to be served content, the content we ourselves would enjoy. And there's three things we're looking for on social media. We're looking for entertainment, we're looking for information, and we're looking for inspiration. Those are the three things. And if we are not cultivating content that achieves one, two, or three of those things, people are not going to respond to it. Why would they? You wouldn't. And
yep.
oftentimes we do this
Say
with
those
sales
3
too.
things for everybody again.
Entertainment,
Entertainment,
information,
information,
or inspiration.
inspiration. Yes, I love it.
And if
Yeah,
if
true.
we're putting out content that we ourselves would not even want to engage with, why are we surprised when others do the same thing?
Yeah,
So, the way that we want to look at social media, and it's, by the way, it shifts every year, of
yeah,
course, but
all
like
the time.
specifically Instagram, because that seems to be a default one for so many. Instagram used to be a great place to build awareness, to nurture that awareness, and to turn that awareness into sales.
Mhm.
Doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Instagram is now a great place to have a handshake. That's it.
Mm,
That's all you can do on Instagram now.
it's a
I
great
mean,
way to put
yes,
that.
you can do other, it's too hard to do too many other things though. Why? Instagram has by design shortened our attention spans. Whereas before, people might spend the time to dig through your content or to really consume the work you put out. I mean, this was when live. Remember when Instagram was pushing lives more than anything else, and
I
everyone
remember
was
when
going
Instagram
live?
was just pictures.
Well, yes,
And
yes,
then and
and
then
yeah,
it yeah.
2013 to 2019, right?
Yeah,
But
and
at
then they
some
did
point,
videos, and then they were
they did
pushing live.
videos, and then they
Mhm.
pushed lives,
Yep.
and so everyone was going live and doing these like 30-minute to hour-long Instagram talk shows,
Mhm.
right? And then all of a sudden they started pushing reels. And they didn't create this idea of short form content that was other platforms like TikTok,
Yeah.
but it started to work. And
Yeah.
when is the last time you saw someone really spend energy doing lives on Instagram? You don't really
Very
see it
rarely,
anymore.
and if
Yeah.
they do, it's like a certain certain people will show up, and even it's just a real quick
Mhm.
live, and it's maybe 5-10 minutes long, and it's a real quick conversation,
Yeah.
and it's usually, I've noticed, just people that are used to doing lives for a certain audience.
Mhm.
But it's definitely not something that gets people attention. I even noticed myself, like, I'll look at a video, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting, I'm like, 4 minutes? There's
I'm
no
out.
way I'm
I'm out.
watching that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm out. I'm
Can
out.
I fast forward this?
Yes. I mean, the best reels are ones that are like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
Quick,
15 to
quick,
30
quick.
seconds.
Yes. Instagram, it's a handshake platform now. You
Mhm.
have to introduce who you are, what you do, and more specifically, why you matter in the context of other people's lives right
Yes.
away.
Yes,
And
I love
if you
that.
can do that,
Why you matter. Mhm.
then you have to have a next step for them to take.
That's it. Yeah.
Because we're not on Instagram holding a credit card.
Mm-mm.
We're not. So I look at Instagram as one step in an ecosystem of how we are properly nurturing the awareness we're growing. So whereas Instagram, short form content only, like I create reels, my reels, I try to keep them under 60 seconds.
And they're super educational. Like I'll say
Mhm,
that's what made me follow you was watching your reels as I was getting ready for some photo shoots and
mhm,
really kind of paying attention to different pictures that I wanted because I kind of I started a couple different living fit photo shoots to kind of like empower women, and it was just small little things here locally. But I really wanted to kind of pay attention to help these other ladies because I'm no professional. I've been in few magazines, but my fitness days, but definitely not to the capacity of the models that you have. So I kind of wanted to pay attention. So that's what really drug me in and started making me, follow you and star you and watch your because they are educational. 15 to 60 seconds. You gave a lot of tips on lighting and
mhm.
stance and all kinds of things.
If I can give value, it's going to beget people wanting to save or share or
Yes.
flag that video in some way so they can refer back to it. I'll give an example that is outside of our industry, well, outside of my industry, I
Mhm.
found this chef, young chef, I assume out of some cool city like Manhattan. He has to live in Manhattan. He looks too cool to live in like Boise, Idaho.
Yeah.
Wait, do you live in Idaho?
No.
You don't. You're in Michigan. Okay.
Michigan.
I was gonna say sorry to anyone who lives in
Not in a
Boise,
really
Idaho.
cool place
I
in
I love
Michigan, but
Boise, Idaho. This is no insult to Boise, Idaho, but this guy does not live in Boise, Idaho. He lives in a cool city like Manhattan, maybe Seattle. Anyway,
Mm,
young guy, super good looking, and his whole shtick was creating the most delicious vegan recipes you've ever seen.
mm,
And I'm invested in this because not that I'm a vegan, but my son has a severe dairy allergy. So
mm.
it limits the way I can cook for him.
Sure.
And cooking vegan is well, you can't have milk. So
It's a
it's
safe space. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
it's a safe
actually dairy
yeah.
free too, so any vegan, I can always know I can do vegan.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I find one of his recipes. It's a reel, 30 seconds, and it's so simple. The first scene, he's holding the plate of what he just created. And he says, "I'm going to show you how to make, let's say, uh, vegan meatballs." And then he takes a bite of this delicious looking vegan meatball. He says, right? That sounded weird. But when you see the video, it doesn't look weird.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it cuts to a quick video of him making these vegan meatballs. Every
Mhm,
step. All right, add your parsley, add your cilantro, add your put cilantro in vegan meatballs. Add your vegan breadcrumbs, add your whatever it is, and
yeah.
then the last scene is the first scene all over again, which is just here it is, and he takes a bite. Okay, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that was a really cool video. And then the comments were the recipe and all the steps written out. So what do I do when I see this reel? I go to his account. Of course I do, right? This is what's important. I then see he has like 100 of these videos.
Mm,
I follow him
mhm,
and I start watching the videos one after another, after another, after another. This is the light bulb moment. He created a bingeable content platform.
mm. Yeah.
Contrast this to when I find something really cool I like, and then I go to that person's account and they have nothing else like it. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah.
Not interested. Because
Yeah.
I just want to see more of this stuff. I need bingeable content.
Yeah.
So when I went to his account and he had tons of other videos teaching all these different vegan recipes, I'm in.
Yeah.
So then, after following him for months and consuming his content that he's putting out, like just a drug addict,
Mhm,
when he drops a book for sale, I'm
mhm.
in line. Let
Oh,
me
yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
Because he's properly nurtured me. He
Yeah.
shook my hand effectively with bingeable content. So when I create content on Instagram, my goal is to create content and then to create lots of content that is similar in scope
Mhm.
to that. So
So
my
good.
audience can binge it. And one of the things I've been releasing is a series of videos called How to Take a Photo That Doesn't Suck. It's highly satirical, it's very snarky.
Sure.
It's not really me persona wise. I'm not that much
Mhm,
of a jackass, but it stood out enough that every time I release a new part of these,
mhm,
not only does that video do well, but I notice I'll get an extra bump in views on all the other ones in that series.
mhm.
Because when people find it, they're like, this is good. What else does he have that's like it? So I created, like Netflix, a bingeable series
Yeah.
that people can consume. Now, coming up with this took time. I didn't just think of it and launch it and it just worked. It was testing out lots of things that worked a little bit or that did not work at all
You
until I
failed.
found
Yeah.
the thing that did.
And
And
that's
that's
you're saying
the
that's,
idea.
to be more strategic bleh,
You
on
have to test.
on
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
an imperfect idea will be infinitely more successful than a perfect idea that you never go through with.
I love it.
Because you'll
Yeah.
just sit on the perfect idea and you won't realize it's a perfect idea because you never tested it. And you
Yeah.
cannot have a perfect idea because it hasn't been tested.
Yeah.
Everything is about putting things into the marketplace and getting feedback to understand how to refine. I was putting out lighting tutorial videos for years that had
Yeah.
mixed results.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I started doing this that they really started
It
to
was a
gain
small little
momentum.
series, and it's funny because I love those reels that you make, and I always always send those ones to people because it's really simple. And I have a pretty dry sense of humor anyway, and I'm kind of joke around all the time. And and it's like how to take pictures that don't suck. I think we all want to understand that a little bit, even if we're just a mom trying to take pictures of our kids. We want to know how to make those pictures not suck. It's not, you didn't say how to take the best picture ever. You're like, this is just a couple tips, relatable to everybody,
Mhm.
that doesn't suck.
Here's
Simple.
here's what's interesting as an example of why this content worked and why it was contrasting enough to be noticed. So the only way you can really grow an audience on Instagram right now is to have other accounts promote your account.
Yeah.
That's it. Outside of buying nefarious followers, that's it. It's
Yeah.
the only way. It's not going to be through virality because
Not
let's be
anymore.
honest, anything that you can create that would go viral is going to be such a unique concept and such a lightning in a bottle approach that you wouldn't be able to turn it into multiple videos unless people see the video, it goes viral, and then they don't care about anything else you're doing. I had a
Yeah.
video go viral in 2021, I think,
Mhm.
and it went viral, but it had nothing really to do with anything at all. It was just
Yeah.
a video that worked. It was a video of me mopping my studio floor. I'm not joking.
So random.
I was like, this is stupid enough to go viral, but it has nothing to do with coaching, it has nothing to do with photography, it has nothing to do
Yeah.
with teaching or education, it has
It's a
nothing to do
great
with
point.
anything I'm actually going to try to promote or sell. So anyone that
Mhm.
sees that enjoys it, they're not going to like anything else on my page.
Yeah. For the most
Okay.
part. Yeah. Yeah.
So the only way you're going to grow an audience is by getting other people to promote and share and market your content for you. That's it.
Mhm.
And the way to do that is to create content worth sharing, content that has value, content that, once again, educates, inspires, or entertains.
Yeah.
And I had this account share one of my videos. And it's one of these accounts that has hundreds of thousands of aspiring photographers
Yeah.
that follow this account. They're called meme accounts, and they share this. Now, this idea is now being shared to an audience that really doesn't know who I am, doesn't
Mhm.
know that this is satire, doesn't
Mhm.
have any indication of my personality or my persona at all. They just see this guy who looks at the camera and says, I'm going to show you to take a photo that doesn't suck. The amount of hate and anger and vitriol I
That's
received from this was
funny.
it was palatable, and so I decided I'm just gonna play into it. Like, people are commenting, "But this photo's not great," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"I never said how to take a great photo. I just said a photo that
Exactly.
doesn't
It
suck."
just doesn't suck. Yeah.
Uh, but here's the thing. I've been shouted out by the same account before. In fact, they shouted out another one of my videos, just last week. Now, look at the difference. When they shout out one of my normal lighting tutorial videos where I'm just like, "Hey, here's a lighting setup," and
Mhm.
I'm more just me, I maybe got it was under 10, maybe 5 new followers.
Mhm.
When they promoted the one, "How to take a video that doesn't suck," I got about 300 new followers.
That's so funny. Yeah.
It was because the people who saw it, who got it, got it. Everyone else was either triggered by it or
Yeah.
was too daft to understand, my stupid lowbrow humor. So, okay, fine. But it's not about appeasing everyone and shaving off edges. This is what we talked about. It's about having something worth noticing to the right audience. And that's the other part
Standing
of that
out.
statement.
Yeah.
Noticing by the right audience, standing out to the right people.
Yeah. And you said the reel that you noticed on, and this is just a little fun fact side note, the reel that you noticed for the vegan chef or what have
Mhm.
you, it started out, and I love those reels where they start out like that. They look so professional and so cool when they
Mhm.
start out and they end the
Mhm.
same one. So it's like you can watch it and it's like, wait, did I just see the beginning or the end?
Yeah,
Because
you're
that's
not really
really
sure
cool.
what the beginning or end is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Like
that.
I love those, and I've never had, like, anything where I can create that for my own self, but I have a goal to make one of those in my niche, in my own business, because 'cause I'm like, "Those are so cool to me because I watch it a couple times just to, like, be like, "Oh, that was that beginning or end?" It's really cool, so I do
What
like those.
Yeah, I mean, what people need to be asking is, what is the type of content that would serve my audience? What
Mhm.
actually would help them? What are the questions that they have? What are the
Yes.
things that they're most curious about? What are the things that they need to be educated on that no one else is really talking about? Like I have a client who he works with men over 40, uh, basically revitalize their energy and their vitality, basically, kicking in the fountain of youth.
Mhm.
Well, the thing that men of this age fear more than anything else is sexual competency
Mhm.
and ability. So they're not talking about it. No one's talking about it. In fact, even if anyone were to order medication for it, you see all these ads for it. The ads are promoting how it comes in a nondescript label, so you don't. So
Yeah.
your neighbors do not know that you're getting Viagra. Um, this is something that you should be talking about
It is, I
openly,
agree.
publicly,
Yeah.
and if you can normalize this and
Mhm.
have open dialogue about this, it's going to undo the stigma and
Yes.
fear that so many men have, and it's going to be things like that that actually get your content seen by the people who you want to see it
Mhm.
and actually have it resonate on a very deep emotional level. And when we can tap into whatever that is for our audience, and we all have it, and
Mhm.
we start to do that thing, that's what stands out. That's what's unique. That's what differentiates us in the marketplace. And it's all
Yeah.
about having your own carved out thing. So, like, you had mentioned, my work as a photographer. Like, I've shot close to 700 magazine covers.
Mhm. I wanted to bring that up, so I'm glad you did because I wanted to make sure that we got to that of your
Yeah,
some of your successes. Yeah.
it's hard to compete if
Mhm.
that is what you're trying to compete with me at. If
Mhm.
you're trying to compete with me and tout the number of magazine covers you've had, good
Good
luck.
luck. Yeah.
And that's not an insult or a
No.
critique. It's an encouragement to find another angle. So, for example, I do not consider myself the most creative photographer. Never
Mhm.
have, and I don't think I ever will. I have to work very hard to create the imagery I do create. I don't think I have an innate talent. I don't think I have a unique eye for photography, but I am willing to work a lot harder as a way to compensate or make up for that. And my push with media is just tying into the background I had working as a photo editor. So
Yes.
that's what makes me unique. But if magazines and earned media is not important to someone, they would never hire me.
Right.
But that's not the point. I'm not trying to reach them. I'm trying to reach the people who it does matter to them. That's my
Mhm.
audience. So for your listeners, you have to understand, who is my audience and what matters to them, that I am the only person who can help them achieve that thing.
Yes. And like you said, basically kind of walk in your lane, and attract your people that you can help, and not try to attract, not try to, not try to compete with you at something that you've excelled at. And that's been your life's work, literally. And that's something I really wanted to bring up to everybody. You just gave us so many nuggets. I'm going to go back and listen to this a couple of times. Just to help ourselves even, and that was kind of some of the stuff I wanted to get into. I told you we might answer these questions, we might not, and I love how passionate you are about just sharing. You're literally
Thank you.
sharing so much of this for people, and you were not even, didn't even bat an eye when I'm like, hey, do you want to talk about stuff? You're like, yeah, let's do it, let's get on the podcast and talk about stuff and help people. And this might help 10 people, it might help 1,000 people, and you were so generous to do that. But I just kind of wanted to let people know, like, it takes time. Things take time. And you are so living proof of that, because you can look at your follower base and, which I guarantee was not bought. It's, I don't know, like 65,000 or something like that on Instagram.
Huge asterisks, because okay, so I actually bought a lot of followers,
Okay.
and I'm open and honest about that, because I tested everything to just see so I can talk about it, and it was
Mhm.
something I did, that I talked about on my own show. All the followers I bought, I had to go through and delete, because they
Oh,
were so bad, and they
okay.
held down my account so
Yeah,
much.
how does that work? Tell us, because I have not bought any followers, obviously only like
So there's
2,600 or
a couple
something.
different ways that you can do it. Some are significantly more legitimate than others. I did a little bit of everything just because I really don't care.
Mhm.
To set the stage of when I say I don't care, we do not own our social media following. Period. End of discussion.
Yes,
It doesn't matter if I have 100 followers or if I have 100,000 followers. To me, I have to look at it as the exact same because I don't own any of them.
sure.
And at any point, Instagram can take it away.
They
They can
can.
shut
Right.
down, the servers can go down, they can delete my account can get hacked, and I lose all of that. So whether
Mhm.
you have 100 or 100,000, it is irrelevant. So I was
Yeah.
willing to play around with this and just see what the hell happens. So
Great attitude about that, by the way, because a lot of people really get hung up on it. And I had to take myself away from some groups of people that were really just getting super competitive about it. And for me, it's never that been that about that important because
no,
I'm serving a lot of my followers personally.
yes.
And for me, that was the most important. And I will quick side note say that I have always thought that way. I imagine we're probably in the same age bracket. Um, but I always go back to like with you, like I wanted your email address. I wanted
Mhm.
different things because I think too, like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of it, even YouTube, it's free. And
Yeah.
we get to use these things, and I think it could crash at any time. And I want to stay connected with the people that I meet that I actually, connect with. So
When
I always
I
do
yeah,
do that.
when I look at my KPIs, my key performance indicators, my social media following is not up on that board. What is on that board though is number of email subscribers.
Mhm.
What is on that board is number of podcast downloads I have.
Mhm.
What is on that board are number of SMS subscribers I have because we do SMS marketing,
Mm.
um, as well as I do have my number of YouTube subscribers because I consider YouTube to be um, kind of like a hybrid. It's not
Mhm.
fully beheld to or beholden by an algorithm because YouTube is query based. So you can
Mhm.
have subscribers on YouTube, much like you can have subscribers of your podcast,
Mhm.
and they're served content that they're subscribed to. But to answer your question in regards to follower acquisition, the legitimate way to do it is to do follower acquisition by paying to have access to some level of social media contest or giveaway or promotion where you
Okay.
have a lot of top accounts. Let's just say you have 10 top accounts promoting a giveaway of an iPad or a Mac computer, something,
Mhm.
Beats
Yeah.
by Dre earphones, whatever it is. Um, and thousands upon thousands of people will enter into this contest, and a requirement to enter the contest is you have to follow
Oh, yeah.
X accounts, and you're one of
I've
these
done
X
that. I've done
accounts.
that 2 accounts. I've never done it myself, but I've
Yes.
followed accounts, yeah.
I've done it where I teamed up with other entrepreneurs and we ran it ourselves.
Okay.
And I've done it where so we just like we'd get like a dozen of us and we'd buy a computer and each of us would promote this on our
Okay,
accounts for
yeah,
people
yeah.
to follow everyone in this, group.
Mhm.
And it would shoot up our followers. And on average, when I was doing things like that, I was paying about gosh, this has been like 8 or 9 years. Um, maybe $3 to $5 a follower. Like it wasn't a great ROI.
Okay.
Um, so we did it with using a third party company that had people with these massive accounts.
Mhm.
And we would get, a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there. So our cost per followers were going down to anywhere from 25 cents to $1 per follower.
Mm.
So much better cost per follower. Um, and here's the catch though is and these are legitimate followers, these are real people following us.
Okay, yeah.
When the contest was over, what happened?
They didn't come back to your page.
Everyone unfollowed us.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, why would they keep following something they have no interest in?
Sure.
That that's it right there. They have no interest in whatever it is you're doing. They only followed you because they wanted a laptop
Yeah.
or they wanted whatever it is, right? So that is a legitimate way, but it's a crapshoot of whether you're going to get people who actually care about your content.
Yeah.
The other way is just a click farm where you buy
Mhm.
into a click farm and all of a sudden, like overnight, you get 10,000 new
I've
followers.
seen people that do that, yeah.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. Here's the
Yeah.
problem though, is Instagram only shows your content to 1 to 2% of your audience. And if you have a lot of fake followers, it's only going to show your content to a bunch of fake accounts that aren't going to engage with your content, which means your engagement just dive bomb. It's
Oh,
terrible. So
yeah.
those are the ones like we did that. We're like, holy crap, that sucks. So let's just delete all those. And
Yeah.
that's the cheap stuff. That's where you're spending like a penny per
Mhm.
follower or something. It's stupid. And if
Mhm.
it sounds like that, it's stupid and it's going to be crap followers. It's going to tank your account.
Yeah.
So we did that and then just be like, oh yeah, no, that's pretty much like we thought it
We
would be.
tried
So
it,
let's
been there,
yeah,
done that.
let's delete all that. And so we had to delete thousands and
Oh,
thousands and
wow.
thousands of followers just to get our account back to serving our content to real people.
Mhm.
But the thing that I still do that has lots of efficacy, that I still gain lots of followers from, is creating content and allowing other platforms to share that content.
Mhm.
So, like, I create photo tutorials, and these photo accounts, which have hundreds of thousands of followers, will share this content and drive hundreds, if not thousands, of followers back into my ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Why? Because they want the content that I am creating. So, for those that are listening to this, if you do want to build your audience, understand that you have to create content and get other accounts to promote that content.
It
Whether
all
it's
goes back to creating the content,
oh yeah, yeah,
that
oh yeah,
people want to
absolutely.
see. Yeah,
Yeah.
so there you have it right
It's
there. It
not
all ties
it's
back to
not
that.
getting someone to shout you out and say, "Oh, go follow my friend." Why?
Who does that? Like
I
one
don't care about
person will go
I don't
follow
care
them.
about
Yeah.
your friend.
Yeah.
I don't follow you for your friend. I follow you
Mhm.
for you. But
Mhm.
if someone were to share something and it's exactly the type of content I as a consumer want to see, like,
You'll go
I
follow 'em.
so, like, as a father, like, I found all these accounts
Mhm.
about parenting styles, about, humor as it relates to being a parent for the first time, and I find one, then I find another, and I find another, and I'm down this rabbit hole, and now my Instagram is completely skewered from what it once was, which was a bunch of fitness people, and now it's a bunch of people talking about how to parent a screaming toddler,
Yes.
and avoid tantrums. So
Yes. I
but
have
it was
watched
the
mine
content
shift
that
as well.
resonated with me.
Mhm. Yeah, my Instagram shifted as well. My kids are a little bit older now, so I'm past the baby ages, but I was just thinking about that the other day about the content that I used to see
Mhm,
was all of like the mom stuff and the natural mom stuff, and now it's fitness based and bodybuilding back again and business and social media and whatnot. So I wanted to circle back real quick and ask you
mhm,
your opinion. Just because we kind of mostly just talked about branding and social media, which is perfect. This is so perfect because this is what a lot of people want to hear about and kind of how you got started. But with YouTube, you had mentioned that you feel like it's hybrid. I
mhm,
personally have put a lot over the course. I would say like maybe 6 months, but year, a lot, some effort in, but 6 months, probably more effort into my YouTube because I have seen it kind of grow
mhm,
and almost become this social media platform where it has the community board and it has, a
mhm,
lot of different things. And anybody that asks me about social media, not that many, but a handful of people will ask just because I show up all the time, I'm
mhm,
consistently showing up. So they tend to ask me some questions. I'm like, just start a YouTube channel because I
mhm,
feel like it's kind of social media ish, but it's also like you said, it can be a little bit more. So that's where obviously this video will be posted on YouTube. So what's your thoughts on that? That was kind of my little thought where I spend more time, I think, now just kind of paying attention to YouTube and posting more on YouTube and learning more about YouTube
mhm,
versus Instagram because Instagram really, like you said, doesn't really do a whole lot for me except for keep in contact
mhm.
with people shortly.
Yeah. There needs to be a next step, and so you're absolutely right. If Instagram is step 1, I guess step
Mhm,
1 is getting people to find your Instagram. So whether that's earned media, getting promotions, getting published, getting featured, things like that. If that's the first step, the second step is the handshake where they're on your platform now, they get a quick sense of who you are and what your ethos is. Well, then there needs to be another step because you have to nurture them. And
mhm,
if Instagram is too short form content to properly nurture, you need to get them somewhere else. So whether
yeah,
that's a YouTube channel, a podcast,
Mhm.
a newsletter, an SMS list, a private Facebook group,
Yeah.
somewhere else where you can better instill the value you are willing to offer them. You have to have that next step because consumers this year more than ever before need that next step. They need to be nurtured. They need to feel like you see them as different from all the other people you sell to,
Yeah.
that you understand their needs are unique to them and
Mhm.
specific to them, and you are willing to offer something that is unique to what their problem is, to solve their issue or to create a clear benefit for them. And so this is why YouTube, much like podcasting, is such a great platform because relative to Instagram, which is pushing short form content, YouTube is not.
Mhm.
And when we consume YouTube, one of the fastest, I just learned this, one of the fastest growing streaming methods for YouTube are smart TVs.
Yes,
Many
I
people are
read
watching YouTube
that.
videos on TV,
Yes, and
and TV
they're pushing the shorts on the
on
smart
mobile.
TVs. Yep, well,
Oh,
I
right, yeah.
saw. Yeah, so they're pushing it on the smart TVs and mobile, and the shorts are now they said, I don't you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I had watched that the shorts are actually leading people back to people's channels, which they never used to do. They used to just kind of pop up in people's feeds, but now the shorts are taking them back. So if they start to pop up in their feed, they'll take them to their actual channel.
Yeah, think of it like because when you open up your YouTube
Mhm.
program, the bulk of the content it's going to serve you is going to be content that, of channels you're subscribed to. That's going to be prioritized. That's why
Yes.
subscriptions help. The second is going to be content very similar to that of what you're subscribed to.
Mhm.
The shorts, which is an interesting thing you brought up, it is bringing in the handshake.
Yes.
What we are using Instagram for, it's trying to bring that into YouTube.
Mhm.
And they're serving it to you in a way where they're gonna test a lot more things
Mhm.
in shorts because it's a safer place for them to test, "Oh, are they interested in videos of, puppies jumping on pillows? I don't know. Let's serve it to him,
Yeah.
and let's
Yeah.
just see how he responds to it. Oh, he
Mhm.
responded great to it. Well, let's
We'll
now
see
serve him
'em.
this channel
Yeah.
that has puppies jumping on pillows." Okay?
Mhm.
I think it's a way for YouTube to push an algorithm approach a little bit more than what YouTube is typically known for, which is query based. And
Mhm.
that's really important. YouTube is a search engine first and foremost. And the such a majority of traffic that's coming to your account are individuals who search for something and your video was shown to them as an answer to a
Mhm.
question that they had.
And
And
not like Instagram because Instagram's not searchable, but
it's
YouTube is
not
searchable.
really a good search functionality to
Yeah.
Instagram. Whereas when someone goes to YouTube with a search, they're a step further in a decision process because
Mhm.
they formulated a question. So your video can provide an answer to that question. So YouTube, better for long form nurturing, better to deliver value, better to nurture over time, and you can catch people further along in the consumer journey,
Yeah.
all of which are very important things. And the fact that they're one of the biggest audiences, I said, is on smart TVs, it imputes that people are loving long form content on YouTube. So
Yeah.
whereas on Instagram we don't want to watch, what are we at, the
4-minute
50
long
set,
videos.
well, we're at 57 minutes now. No one's going to watch, you post this on Instagram, no one's watching for an hour on Instagram. We're not going to hold
No,
our
I'll
phone up
post
for an hour on
60-second
Instagram.
clips maybe, and they'll
Right,
usually
yes.
15-second clips of something amazing that you said so that hopefully
But
they'll
the
go back to the YouTube and watch us.
watch the whole thing,
Mhm.
yes, on YouTube, because
Yeah.
there we'll sit.
Yeah.
Because we're used to that. We're conditioned to spend
Mm.
time on YouTube. We're not conditioned to invest that much time per piece of content on Instagram. So no, you're absolutely right, and it's such a good strategy that
And
you're
to build
implementing
your
to
community, like you
do
said,
that.
to nurture your
Mhm.
community and to build with them and to genuinely show up for them,
Yeah.
like, is because if you're not here for the peoples, then you won't last very long.
Well, and I'll give this advice because sometimes people can get very overwhelmed. Like,
Mhm.
so I have to be here, then I have to be here, and
That's true,
it
yeah.
sounds stressful. And I hate being on video, and I don't know if I want to do that. If you hate being on video, don't be on video. Don't feel you have to do something that goes
Yeah.
against what you're comfortable with or what you want to do. Whether it's you're writing an email newsletter, or you like being on a microphone, so it's podcasting, or you like being on video, so it is YouTube, or maybe you do what you're doing, Pam, which is a video and a podcast, and you're
Mhm.
saving time because you're doing them
Right.
simultaneously. Um, all of this is leaning into what your strengths are and what your interests are. Like I blog for, 15 years. I don't blog that much anymore
Mhm.
cuz I enjoy talking. It's faster for me. I could think on the go. So my blogging, yeah, that went down, but I know people who run very successful blogs or newsletters.
Mhm.
If it's short form like SMS text lists, like do so exceedingly well.
I
Um
love my text messages I get from people that I sign up for
mhm,
because, I'm like, "Oh, I forgot to look at their stuff," and I get on like, I love it because our
mhm.
phones are always in our hand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
SMS marketing, it's like
love
a
it.
98% open rate compared to industry
That's
average of email
awesome.
is 15%.
Yeah, that's
So,
great.
like, but whatever it is, you have a strength on how you
Mhm.
like to communicate to people, just do that, because
Yeah.
that's how they're gonna wanna hear from you anyway.
That's the best piece of advice. So this is a long interview, longer than I thought, but I'm so grateful for you to be here with us today and to share so many nuggets. Like I said, I'm going to go back and listen to this. I'm going to watch this as I edit some of it and write those down. You guys, I hope you guys took notes because this is very, very valuable information from somebody who's wildly successful in all of the things that you're doing. I love to watch your journey, and I love to watch all of the things you have. I wanted to really quickly talk about your Fitposium, and then your thing that I still need to get is your planner that's on Amazon. And let me tell you, so I love people that tell me what I need to do. And most people don't like that, but I am I'm very take control of things. I'm mostly organized. I'm a very high achiever, but I'm a little scatterbrained. And when somebody comes in there like, listen, you need this because it's an observational thing from somebody that's successful. And I'm like, you're right. I so totally do. And so he has told me a couple times, you need to get my planner. And I've had it in my thing to buy every single time, and then I just forget. So let's talk about your planner and then talk about your Fitposium, which is not called Fitposium. It's called something else now, I think. So
Yep.
we'll talk about that real quick and then we'll let you guys go.
Okay, so gift for your audience
Mhm,
is the planner. It's called the Legacy Planner, as you mentioned, it is available on Amazon, and both a hardcover edition, which I
mhm,
like, has a paperback edition as well, and it's priced cheaper than most planners
mhm.
you will ever see, which was done intentionally. And the goal of the planner is it's really hard to get shit done
Yeah.
because when we try to conceptualize something, we make it into this big insurmountable thing. And the closer we get to trying to do this thing, the bigger and the scarier it gets. The
Mhm.
idea of the legacy planner is taking annual goals, breaking them into quarterly plans, taking those quarterly plans and breaking them into monthly actions, taking those monthly actions and breaking them down even further into weekly sprints, taking those weekly sprints and breaking it down even further into daily tasks. You will
Yeah.
have your most productive year you've ever had.
So you do that all for us in the planner.
Yeah, you
Okay.
literally just break it down piece by piece. So the planner has a section where you put out your annual goals. It has sections for
So you're
every quarter.
basically
It has
taking
sections for
all of
every
our
month.
excuses away.
Yep, and it has sections for every day of the year.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
you can get it on Amazon,
Mhm.
or if you go to jamespatrick.com/legacy, so just jamespatrick.com/legacy, you can just download a free PDF
Oh.
of it. Yeah. So if you just wanna test it out for a
Mhm.
couple weeks, just get a free
Mhm.
PDF. Yeah, get that, test it out. You'll we so what we did to do this, because 'cause I've been doing this system for about 12 years.
Okay.
And it's refined every year over the course of 12 years. It started as
Sure.
just this Excel spreadsheet that would update every year and add in a new col or add in a new tab to it for each year. And then I was like, I'm tired of doing this in Excel because I have to have my computer on me in order to do this. I need to make this a little bit more tactile. So then I turned it into a bullet journal and made it into this bullet journal. And I was like, I'm tired of literally drawing my planner every single day. That's taking
Yeah.
too much time in my morning. Let me just design it as a PDF. I'm tired of like printing a new thing out every week. Maybe I can just print it for myself. And that's what I did. That was the initial idea, was I'm just going to make this for myself. And
Mhm.
then a bunch of my clients were asking, well, you talk about this all the time. Can you just give it to us? I was like,
Yeah.
yes, I printed out another 50 of them, and I gave them to my clients for a year. And I just said, use it for a year and give me feedback. So at the end of the year, I took all that feedback, we refined it one more time, and that's what releases the legacy planner. So it's been tested by all my clients to improve the efficacy of it. Like I said, you can download a free PDF of the entire thing at
I'll
J
link that here below too. I'll
yeah,
link it. Mhm.
/legacy. And then it also links to the Amazon copy if you want the hard copy or if you want the paperback copy.
Okay.
So that's the legacy player. Now the conference Fitposium,
Yes.
we ran that for 8 years, started in 2015, and our final year was this last year. And Fitposium was originally predicated on helping health and wellness professionals build, market, and profit from their brands.
Mm,
As it went on, we got very myopically focused on helping them leverage the power of earned media. So getting published, being featured on podcasts, speaking engagements, giving presentations, being interviewed, being featured, all these things as a way to build awareness, amplify authority, and generate leads,
okay.
which are things that our audience struggles with.
Mhm.
And so when that really became our focus, then when 2020 hit, we had to change the delivery system of the conference, and we went from this conference of 500 people to this online only event. To the last few years, we did this hybrid event where we had a couple dozen people with us in person, then we had hundreds of people tuning in from all over the world. We realized that the brand needed to shift, and we
Mhm.
shouldn't call it Fitposium anymore, because not everyone who attends is in the fitness industry now. They're
Okay.
all business owners, they're all professionals. And Fitposium, to me, it still was this big event, this big conference with
Yeah.
500 plus people. And to have this new approach, which was more focused and more intimate,
Mhm.
it should not be called the same thing. So we decided to retire the brand of Fitposium, and we're relaunching it under the new brand Get Published Live, and it will be in May.
Oh,
And
so what it
so
was in a different month.
yeah, we used to do it in the fall. We used to do it
Okay.
in October, and we shifted to May because, hey, we're all too busy in October, and that was
Mhm.
something we had to navigate every single year. Was the hundreds of other events that were happening in the month of October,
Yeah.
on top of it being, we're right out of summer, but we're right before the holidays, and it was a hard time to gain people's focus. So
Yeah.
we're shifting to spring, late spring, because not as much competition when it comes to hosting events. Still amazingly beautiful here in Arizona where we host the event. And it's
Always
earlier in the year so that we can get people to get action sooner
makes
after.
sense.
Because the thing that bugs me about conferences is when someone goes to a conference, then after the conference, they go home and they kind of forget everything that they just learned and they don't put anything into action.
Yeah.
And the thing that we really try to instill is we get you starting the work while you're there, and you
Mhm.
do a lot of stuff while you're there. That way, by the time you go home on Monday, you've already started. So it's not like you have to start. You've already
Yeah.
started. So you're already in momentum. And to
Okay.
do that earlier in the year, I think behooves everyone.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense. Well, thank you so much for so much
Thank
of your
you.
time, James. This is so awesome. It was such a pleasure to have you on. You guys, I'm gonna link all of his stuff up as usual. You guys can find him on Instagram, obviously. I'm not sure if he's on TikTok. TikTok's not my jam so much, but maybe are you on TikTok?
I am.
Okay.
I
But
say it with
mostly
a question
Instagram.
mark. I've been testing it,
Okay.
but it's I feel like the early stages of TikTok growth have already surpassed us. So
Let's just
the
stick with Instagram and YouTube,
yeah,
you guys. So I'll link up his YouTube in here. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to this one. Go over there, like, subscribe to his stuff. He had some live training just the other day. It was free. I was able to jump on for a minute, but I'm assuming you're gonna have lots more of different videos up
every
there.
week.
Okay, awesome. So every week there's going to be that kind of stuff. So make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell, all the things, comment below, show James some love. And thank you so much again, James. I so totally appreciate you with all of the knowledge that you gave us. So thank you so much. Anything,
Thank
anything
you.
you want to share real quick? Anything you want to share for anybody? You've already shared a bunch, but anything
Hey,
else you
reach
want
out
to
with any marketing questions that you have. DM Jpatrickphoto is the easiest way.
share? Okay. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. Love you so much.